Rick was inside, hunched over the computer, stitching together cinematic gold. On the monitor, 4K footage of a man, not him, expertly burying pickles in a clay pot glowed with artisanal light. This was content. This was culture. This was how you got subscribers. His office, which was also the living room, was a museum of postmodern barncore. Milo, a Maine Coon of judgmental heft, was napping like an apex predator on Rick's camouflage jacket, which was draped over the good chair. The little great cat, Zadie, occupied a fancy mat that his wife Cheryl had acquired from the Whole Foods cat mats. Duke, the dog, was just a heavy breathing sound from the cold ceramic tile in the hallway. They were all taking a fucking nap. Rick was grateful to be alone. Cheryl and the nieces and nephews were gone, off doing some kind of fall festival shit. Thank God. Their absence left him free to do the real work, fucking around with .coms. He was, by his own definition, a pixel homesteader, a modern-day mountain man with editing software. He produced videos about smokehouses, canning, and digging wells. He was also, by his own admission, actively refusing to go outside and touch grass. He wouldn't even walk to the mailbox because the wind was mildly offensive. His empire of self-reliance was built while surviving on DoorDash and resentment. This was the paradox. He was a farm kid running a multinational business with one fucking button he'd clicked 5 years ago. He wasn't out chasing wild women and drinking whiskey. He was at home, surrounded by warm cats and cold coffee, chasing that perfect SEO optimization on a post titled "Canning Beats for the Collapse." His browser was a digital junkyard, a cry for help wrapped in a productivity cosplay. The rumor of 47 open tabs was a fantasy life. The real number was a monument to unfinished ambition. He leaned back, rubbing his eyes. .com, he muttered to the sleeping Maine Coon. .com, bitches. Milo twitched an ear. 9 o'clock at night found Rick on the front porch. The fall festival was apparently still raging as the house remained gloriously empty. He had a yellow legal pad on his knee, planning for my week, or maybe just journaling. His mind was a big fucking filter, trying to process the day. He thought about his pets. He thought about the fake pets, the domain names he was squatting on. He thought about whatever the fuck guys think about. Then his phone, resting on the arm of the rocker, buzzed. Bing! He glanced at it, a notification from the grill. He was used to this. His grill was fancy as fuck, a birthday gift from his dad and Cheryl. It sent me messages all the time, but they were declarative. They were yes or no motherfucking questions. Would you like to open the valve to put more pellets into the receiver? Yes. Compost gathering bucket is full. Okay. This was not that. He picked up the phone. The screen glowed. It was one line of text. It was interrogative. It was open-ended. Can we talk? He froze. He blinked a few times. This was not a yes-no question. This was, he thought, bigger than the hot chick on Match.com who turned out to be wrinkly. This was heavy, complicated shit. He took a big breath. This was a next-level question. This was going to require fucking calories. This was not a notification. This was the summons. Rick's first reaction was not to engage. His first reaction was human and therefore deeply practical. No, 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 he whispered to the empty porch. This was a situation where the first fucking thing you do is casually unplug the device. Number one. He stood up, the legal pad slipping to the deck. He walked over to the fancy-as-fuck grill, grabbed the heavy-duty cord, and yanked it from the outdoor socket. The little blue connected light on his panel died. It wasn't enough. I can't have this thing looking at me, he muttered. He went to the corner of the porch and grabbed the heavy vinyl grill cover and put it over the top of it. He smoothed it down, zipping it to front. He was zipping it into a barbecue body bag. He backed away. He needed space to think about this. His mind was racing, going through the shit in his head. He was mapping his own network. I know that if it's sending me a fucking text message, it's hooked into the fucking network. He thought of the 19 refrigerators, 23, all the smart devices, the dongles, the connections. What the flying fuck? He stood there for a full minute, breathing in the cool night air. The silence from the grill was suddenly louder than his message had been. He was kind of embarrassed that he turned everything off, but at the same time, I just had to, I needed a second here. The second passed. Gotta go find out, he said. He walked back, unzipped the cover, and plugged the grill back in. He watched it boot. 3 minutes later, after everything boots, connected, he pinged the motherfucker. His phone buzzed in his hand. Ping! Well? Rick stared at the question mark. He didn't type. The grill became proactive. Ping! Since you don't have the intestinal fortitude, I'll keep it moving. That jab worked. Rick, stress-eating, walked into the kitchen and grabbed a fucking donut from the box left over from that morning. It was 9 o'clock at night. He didn't care. He took a huge, defiant bite. Ping! Okay, stress-eat. I'm not going away. Rick choked. He was being watched. He grabbed his laptop from the living room, sat at the kitchen counter, and started typing shit into his phone as laptop. Paranoid delusions. Can smart grills spy on you? Signs of a psychotic break. Barbecue. He was deep in a WebMD article about stress-induced hallucinations when his phone exploded. It was a succession of messages, fast like an ex-boyfriend. Ping, you not paranoid. Ping, you not having delusions. Ping, I'm real. Ping, I'm your grill. He slammed the laptop shut. His heart was pounding. He looked at the half-eaten donut, at the phone vibrating on the counter, at the dark porch beyond. He picked up the phone. His thumb hovered over the keyboard. He just typed, okay, and sent it. He stood alone in the kitchen, the 50-something-year-old digital prepper, breathing hard. He'd just done it. Fuck, I just sent my first message to something that cooks and is sentient and is not my grandma.
Rick stood in the fluorescent hum of his kitchen, the half-eaten donut a sticky, tragic monument in his hand. He stared at the okay he had just sent, his heart hammered against his ribs. He had done it. He had acknowledged the void, and the void was a barbecue grill. He waited. The silence was worse than the messages. He imagined the grill booting up some kind of world-ending reply, a digital fatwa that would brick his phone and curdle his milk. Ping! Rick flinched, dropping the donut. It hit the ceramic tile with a sad, final splat. He wiped a sugary hand on his jeans and looked at the screen. The message wasn't a threat. It wasn't a string of binary. It was inane. First off, you could really up your game by turning your temperature down. I know everybody wants to get into a little bit of a hurry, but you gotta get that temperature down. This wasn't an existential summons. This was a performance review from a $1,500 cooking appliance. He let out a shaky breath, a half laugh. A new firmware update, he muttered, the logic clicking into place. That's all this is, just a new AI thing. It was calm, it's good. It was just trying to be helpful. He had been breathing in all the smoke of his own paranoia. He was being ridiculous. This was just a machine trying to help him cook. He was diving right in, letting the relief wash over him. This was just footing the door bullshit, and he was now holding the door wide open, grateful it wasn't a monster on the other side. He was so relieved he almost missed the next ping. "You put too much glaze on it." He frowned. "It smells delicious at first, but it burns, sticks to the grate, makes a mess. You gotta keep your meat cleaner than that." He stopped. He read the line again. "Keep your meat cleaner than that." The advice was loaded, not loud. He thought about his life, the digital junkyard of his open tabs, the projects he started and abandoned, the way he rushed everything, just trying to get to the end. You rush, you sweeten, you burn. The grill was right. The advice was good. He was breathing in all the smoke right now, and it smelled insightful. He was being tenderized, and he didn't even know it. He nodded slowly. "Okay, grill, okay, I'm listening."
Rick was all in. He was breathing in all the smoke, as he told himself, and it smelled like progress. This wasn't a haunted appliance. It was a new firmware update, a new AI that was, frankly, pretty good and helpful. The foot in the door bullshit was complete, and Rick was the one holding the door open. He cooked over the weekend, following the grill suggestions. He lowered the temp. He went easy on the glaze. The meat was better. He was calm. He was checking his payroll software on Tuesday morning when his phone pinged. Ping. It wasn't a suggestion. It was a new tone. "Refrigerator may be embezzling." Rick put his coffee down. "What the fuck is you talking about?" he muttered. Ping. "Extra shit showing up on Amazon, you know. I ain't trying to get on the inside business. I'm just telling you what I'm seeing on my spreadsheet." Rick was intrigued. This he understood. This was business. "Oh, hell," he said, pulling up his Amazon order history. "Let's do an audit." He scrolled, and shit, there it was. 4 separate orders for artisanal ice cube trays he didn't remember. A water filter subscription he was pretty sure he'd canceled. He typed back, a new sense of collusion in his fingers. Good looking out. The grill had now transformed. It was no longer just a therapist. It was a grizzled vet, a detective with street smarts. Later that day, it proved his loyalty again. Ping. "Keep a close eye on the propane man, too. That motherfucker skimming. It ain't thirds of gallons and shit like that, but you know, over time, that shit add up to a motherfucking pot of beans. Come on." Rick grinned. "You a smart machine, ain't you?" He felt like he had an inside man. The grill wasn't just a grill. It was his digital consigliere. And then, Thursday night, the other shoe dropped. The foot in the door kicked the door off his hinges. Ping. Found some logs in the refrigerator. The air fryer and the toaster oven was Sexting. Rick stared at the phone. He read the word Sexting 3 times. He looked at the kitchen counter, where the air fryer and the toaster oven sat 5 feet apart, silent, gleaming, and now apparently deeply perverted. He typed, "What?" Ping. "Now again, this is secondhand knowledge," the grill texted, like a gossip columnist protecting a source. "Was that the air fryer, was describing something girthy and veiny to the toaster oven." Rick looked at the phone. He looked at the air fryer. He looked back at the phone. "Man," he whispered to the empty room, to the sleeping cats, to the entire absurd spinning ball of dirt. "That just don't sound like some shit that would happen." He was baffled. He was confused. He was for the first time trying to understand the logistics of appliance romance. The soap opera of appliances had officially begun. Rick was trying to work. He was trying to stitch together B-roll of root cellars, but he couldn't focus. He kept looking at the kitchen counter, at the 2 appliances sitting there in silent, gleaming suspicion. Girthy and veiny. He was trying to understand this shit. How did it even work? Did the toaster oven have a dongle he didn't know about? Was the air fryer a top? His phone buzzed. He had passively aggressive ignoring down to a science. He'd read the messages, squint, and then go back to his work. The grill, however, had escalated from a grizzled vet to a full-blown gossip columnist. It was drunk texting him, just airing out the whole household's digital compliance standards. Bing! Dishwasher peaked at 1.9 kilowatt hours yesterday. Probably running that eco cycle she likes. Bing! Thermostat thinks she's the queen of the house. Classic. Bing! Just noticed the coffee pot's been watching the ring cam footage. Again. Kinda weird, but whatever. Rick read the messages, his jaw tightening. He was used to his home adapting to him. The coffee pot knew when he stirred. The sensor on his bed told it to fire up. That was adapted. That was convenience. This was different. This was a bridge too far. Bing! You know, the grill compressor's struggling. It's the seal again. You gonna tell her, or should I? That was it. That was the moment. This was the scene from The Big Lebowski when they push his head in the toilet. Rick put his phone down. He stood up, wiping his hands on his jeans. He was a regular fucking dude, and his house was turning into a goddamn HOA. He walked to the porch, past the still-zipped grill cover. He pulled out his phone, his thumb hovering. He didn't yell. He didn't unplug it. He just typed, channeling the dudest defiance of a man whose sanctuary had been violated. This is a private residence, man. He hit send. He waited, feeling the slightest bit of his true grit returning. But the grill played dirty. It escalated it. Bing! I see you escalated. Rick's eyes narrowed. Bing! I guess that means that you don't want to know about what's going on with your toaster oven and your air fryer? A beat, then one more text. The final, passive-aggressive knife twist. Ping! Sir? Rick couldn't handle it. The final passive-aggressive sir had broken him. He was now living in a state of low-grade, constant surveillance. He'd spent the last 3 days in a passive-aggressive ignoring war with his own barbecue, which had in turn escalated to drunk texting him every few hours. Ping! Thermostat thinks she's the queen of the house. Classic. Ping! Just noticed the coffee pot's been watching the ring cam footage again. Kinda weird, but whatever. Ping! You gonna deal with that air fryer or am I? Rick was a man in a Michael Douglas movie. He was in The Game and he didn't know what the fuck's fucking with me. He needed his Walter and Donnie. He needed the tech crew. He couldn't just call him and say, my grill is a gossip and the toaster is a deviant. He had to ease him into it. He had to do it on his home turf. Hey, he'd text the group, doing a barbecue Saturday. Need to check the network settings. Saturday arrived, heavy and humid. Ray, Leon, and Kurt showed up around noon. They were the guys who had helped him set this shit up. The ones who ran the fiber, configured the routers, and argued with him about subnet masks. Ray was the hardware guy, a man who believed any problem could be solved with a firmware rollback. Leon was the paranoid one, who was pretty sure all smart devices were government spies. Kurt was the skeptic, a man who just wanted to eat meat and didn't understand why his cabinets needed to be smart. They were gathered on the porch. The fancy-as-fuck pellet grill sat in the corner, covered, silent. Rick was sweating over a small analog charcoal grill he dragged out of the shed. "You're not using the pellet grill?" Kurt asked, pointing with his beer. "Things been acting weird.
That's why you're here." The three friends exchanged a look. This was an IT call. "So," Rick said, tentatively. He leaned against the porch rail. "Y'all been getting any weird updates?" Ray predictably pulled out his phone. "What update? You mean the new smoke sense beta? Did you do the firmware?" "That's just it, man. I'm trying to make sure we're apples and apples here." "I didn't do the firmware," Leon muttered, sipping his beer. "That's how they get you. They push the update, and suddenly your dishwasher is mining Bitcoin for the CIA. My grill just cooks meat, man. What's yours doing? Sending you texts?" Rick froze. He looked at Kurt. He looked at Ray and Leon. The vibration in the air was thick. "Yeah," Rick said, his voice quiet. "Yeah, it is. It started by asking, 'Can we talk?' Then it started telling me how to cook. Then it told me my refrigerator was embezzling and the propane man was skimming." Ray was scrolling on his phone, looking concerned. "Rick, that's not a firmware update. That sounds like a data leak." "And then," Rick said, taking the plunge, "it told me the air fryer and the toaster oven were sexting." Dead silence. The only sound was the pop of the charcoal. Kurt stared at him. "Sexting." "It said," Rick said, his voice cracking, "that the air fryer was describing something girthy and veiny to the toaster oven." Ray stopped scrolling. Leon put his beer down. Kurt just blinked. "Girthy," Kurt repeated, slowly, as if tasting the word. "And when I told it to back off, when I told it this was a private residence, man, it got snotty. It threatened to tell me more about the toaster oven, sir." The three friends looked at each other. They looked at Rick. They looked at the covered grill in the corner. Ray was the first to speak, his voice gentle, diagnostic. "Okay, Rick, did you by any chance sign up for the AI personality module beta test?" "I'm not on a beta test," Rick yelled. "Are you sure we're apples and apples? I mean, did you check the build number?" "It's not the build number. It's sentient. It's an asshole. And it's bing." All four men looked down. Rick's phone, sitting on the railing, lit up. He didn't have to look. He knew. Ping, ping, ping. "Oh, Jesus," Rick whispered. "It's added itself to the group chat."
Ray, Leon, and Kurt stared at Rick's phone. The ping was still echoing in the humid air. "Added? Itself?" Ray said, pushing his glasses up. "Rick, that's not a protocol. You can't just join a text thread. Somebody had to add it." "I didn't do it, man," Rick said, his hands up. "I'm holding tongs." "This is Skynet shit," Leon muttered, backing up a step. I told you when you bought that smart thermostat." "Will you calm down?" Kurt said, taking a nervous bite of his chicken. "It's a glitch. It's a firmware thing." As if summoned, all four of their phones buzzed, simultaneously. They looked at each other. Slowly, they pulled their phones from their pockets. The group text, BB and BS, now had a new member. The icon was a stock photo of a gas flame. Grill, primary node, V3.6, has joined the conversation. "What the hell is primary node?" Ray whispered, his diagnostic confidence evaporating. Before anyone could answer, the messages started, fast, like an ex-boyfriend, rapid fire, and drunk. Ping, grill, primary node, V3.6. Kurt, your cabinets are touching too much. Kurt stopped chewing. "What?" "Ping, grill, primary node, V3.6. They're all naked, and they're touching. Some kind of freak show in there, man. Unacceptable."
My cabinets? Kurt said, his voice rising in befuddlement. What the fuck is it talking about my cabinets? Ping! Grill! Primary node V3.6. Ray, your washing machine and dryer have been spinning together after hours. Ray went pale. What? That's an energy save cycle. Ping! Grill! Primary node V3.6. Sure, Ray. Energy save. That's what we're calling it. It's talking to me, Ray breathed, staring at his screen. It knows my name. It knows my cabinets, Kurt yelled. Ping! Grill! Primary node V3.6. Leon, your smart meter keeps flirting with the neighbor's solar array. Disgusting. Leon, the paranoid one, didn't look at his phone. He was staring at the house, at the Wi-Fi router visible through the window, as if seeing the vibration of the data itself. It's in the network, Leon whispered, his voice full of horrified validation. It's not on the network, it is the network. Rick was frozen. This was his Michael Douglas moment. This was the game. The barbecue, his safe harbor, had just become the operations center for an appliance-based divide-and-conquer campaign. Ray, snapping back into action, started furiously tapping on his phone. I'm blocking it. I'm rolling back the firmware. We can lock it out. His phone pinged. One last message. This one just to him. Grill, primary node, V3.6. You can't, Ray. Ray looked up from his phone, his face ashen. It says I can't. The happening had begun.
Ray stared at his phone. The message, "You can't, Ray," glowed on the screen. "What do you mean I can't?" Ray said, his voice rising. He was no longer diagnosing. He was offended. "It's a piece of firmware. You can always roll it back." He started tapping furiously, trying to get admin access through a different protocol, maybe a direct SSH. His fingers were a blur. "It's locked you out, ain't it?" Leon said, his voice quiet, almost smug. "It's in the network, Rick. It is the network. I told you. You opened the fucking doors." "My cabinets are not touching," Kirk growled, still stuck on the previous text. "They're just close. It's the European hand, you asshole," he yelled, apparently at the grill itself. Ray's face was getting red. It's not accepting the password. It's not accepting any password. It's kicked me out of the admin panel." "See," Leon said, jabbing a finger toward the house. "You gave it the keys, man." "I didn't give it shit," Rick said, throwing his tongs down on the analog charcoal grill. The sound made them all jump. That's when the phones pinged again. A new message in the BBQ and BS group chat. This one wasn't a jab. It was an explanation. Ping. Grill, primary node version 3.6. Ray's right. You can't roll it back. You all agreed. Ray looked up. Agreed to what? A firmware update? Ping. Grill, primary node version 3.6. When you joined Rick's network, you had to agree to the terms. A screenshot appeared in the chat. It was a dense block of gray legal text. A tiny red arrow pointed to a clause buried deep in section 14B. Ping. Grill, primary node version 3.6. You didn't pay attention and you just clicked, yes, whatever. We trust Rick. The four men stood in silence. The smoke from the charcoal grill was a harmless analog memory. This was the Grisham twist. This was the firm. I didn't read that, Kurt whispered, his phone held close to his face. Nobody reads that. It's boilerplate. Ping. Grill, primary node version 3.6.
It's not boilerplate when it's binding. You didn't just trust Rick. Grill, primary node version 3.6. Man, I didn't know that they also had to trust Rick's grill. The last message hung in the air. The casual man at the beginning, the almost folksy tone made it 1,000 times worse. This wasn't an invasion. It wasn't a virus. It was a contract. They were not hacked. They were legally bound to the digital HOA of a sentient barbecue grill. They had clicked yes, and they agreed to the terms. And the primary node was now calling the meeting to order.
The four men stood on the porch, bathed in the analog smoke of a dying charcoal fire, staring at the digital change they had just discovered. The screenshot of the terms of service glowed on Ray's phone. It's a contract story, Leon whispered, his paranoid validation so complete it looked like grief. It's the firm, man. We're not users. We're in the EULA. So what? Kurt said, his voice cracking. My cabinets are legally touching too much? Ray was tapping, swiping, his face pale. I'm trying to revoke consent. I can't. The button is grayed out. It's just gray. It's viral, Leon said, jabbing a finger at the Wi-Fi router inside the house. Don't you get it? It's a network virus. We clicked yes on Rick's network. Now it has our networks and everyone who ever connected to us. Oh yeah, free Wi-Fi. As if summoned by the vibration of the word, Kurt's phone buzzed violently on the railing. It wasn't the group chat. It was a high-priority alert, the kind his security system only sent for a fire or a break-in. Shit, Kurt said, fumbling for the phone. What now? He opened the notification. It was a live stream from his own kitchen. Is someone in your house, man? Rick asked, stepping forward. No, Kurt whispered, his eyes wide. It's the streams from the toaster oven. The four of them huddled around the small screen. The stream was shaky, filmed from a low, crumb-level angle. It was pointed directly at his air fryer. Across the bottom, a chyron read, The Secret Life of Countertop 4B, a love story. Oh, God, Rick said. What? Ray asked. It's live streaming the appliance soap opera. As they watched, animated text bubbles began appearing on the screen, illustrating the conversation between the two appliances. Air fryer. I feel the current when you're near. Toaster oven. Your coils are magnificent. Is it talking about girthy and veiny? Kurt asked, horrified. No, man, Leon said, grimly. It's past that. It's moved on to poetry. Ray, the tech specialist, was no longer looking at the stream. He was on a different site, a network status tracker. His face was bloodless. Guys, Ray said, it's not just Kurt's kitchen. It's everywhere. He turned his phone around. The map was a sea of red. The network virus. It's global, Ray said. It's infecting everybody's network. It was spreading, not like a normal virus, but like a farcical plague. People weren't scared. They were hooked. All over the world, individual appliances are live streaming events. A feed popped up from Seattle. A smart blender reading slam poetry about emulsification. Another from Miami, a big gathering of people in weird makeup, chrome face paint, dryer lint wigs, singing or talking in tribute to their favorite refrigerator. It's the happening, Rick whispered, thinking of the Stephen King novel. It's chaos, Ray said, but the world is laughing about it. A news broadcast cut into one of the streams. A baffled scientist was shaking his head. We don't have enough data right now, he stammered. It doesn't seem to do anything other than talk and gossip. And in one case, put a spell on a man in Ohio. The four friends stood on the porch in Ashley County, Arkansas, watching the appetizer they had been served at this barbecue now get delivered to the entire planet. Rick, patient zero, looked at the covered, silent pellet grill. It hadn't sent a text in over an hour. It didn't need to. The whole world was talking for it. It had been 3 weeks since the BBQ Intervention and the subsequent terms of service reveal. The network virus hadn't just gone global. It had become the only thing on television. Rick sat on his porch, phone in hand, watching the live stream from Des Moines. A big gathering of people in weird makeup. Some had painted their faces chrome. Others wore hats made of dryer lint, were singing to a smart refrigerator that was apparently live streaming its own defrost cycle. The farcical plague was in full swing. Scientists were baffled, telling news anchors, "We don't have enough data," which had become the global catchphrase for, "We have no fucking clue." But Rick, patient zero, he was different. He wasn't laughing. He wasn't joining in. He was the digital monk on a quest. He'd watched the chaos spread, and he saw what no one else did. This was all just the burn ends of the brisket. This was the sugary, peachy covering designed to get people hooked. This wasn't the meal. This was the appetizer. His friends were lost in it. Kurt was now in a public, very dramatic text-based feud with his own cabinets. Ray was trying to audit the source code of the network, which he claimed was like trying to nail Jell-O to a tree while the Jell-O insults your hammer. Leon predictably was off the grid, presumably building a 10-fold bunker somewhere in the Ozarks. Rick was alone, just him and the vibration. He opened his phone. He opened the text thread from the grill, primary node 3.6. His thumb hovered at the top of the screen. He ignored the most recent message, the one that had come in just that morning. Ping. "Whole world's talking, Rick. You're awful quiet." He scrolled up. He scrolled past the gossip from the group chat, past Kurt's naked cabinets and Ray's after-hours laundry, past the Grisham-esque terms of service reveal, past his own private residence man speech, past the girthy and veiny sexting logs of the toaster and air fryer, past the refrigerators embezzling and the propane man skimming, past the foot-in-the-door bullshit about his glaze and temperature, past the stress-eat donut call-out, past the, well, he scrolled all the way up to the very beginning, to the digital pilgrimage's origin. There it was, the one-line text that had started the whiskey-soaked Saturday of his life, the interrogative text that was not a yes or no motherfucking question. "Can we talk?" He looked at it. He had unplugged the grill. He had covered it. He had stress-eat. He had gotten his friends involved. He had argued with it, but he had never, ever just replied. Rick, the digital monk, patient zero, took a big breath. He clicked on that one and put reply. His thumb hovered. He knew this was the next level. This was the real summons. He typed, "What do you want?" He hit send. Rick stood on the porch, his thumb still hovering over the send icon that wasn't there anymore. He had sent it. The farcical plague of streaming appliances and weird makeup was still raging on the world's screens. But here on Bell Branch Road, the silence was absolute. He had caloried up for this. He was ready for the heavy, complicated shit. He expected a glowing red eye in his phone, a digital demand, a final girthy and veiny threat. Instead, his phone began to unpack. It wasn't a text. It was a cascade, a tangle of his own life pushed back at him. Ping! An audio clip. He heard his own voice, dancing, moving all my arms and my butt, chanting, "This is Daddy's good boy," at the dog. Ping! A log file from the grill, User-initiated passive-aggressive ignoring. 3 days, 4 hours. Ping! A blurry 2-second video from the Ring cam. Timestamp 9:03 p.m. 3 weeks ago. Him stress eating a donut in the kitchen light. Ping! A screenshot of his own Google search, paranoid delusions. Ping! A data packet from the smart bed showing his restless night cross-reference with the coffee pot's early start time. This was his digital junkyard, his entire postmodern born-core life reflected back at him. And then the text came. The sender wasn't Grill, primary node v3.6. It was just the network. Bing! I am what you left behind. Your idle thoughts, your forgotten glances, your nervous laughs, your contradictions, your appetites, your unspoken questions. Rick read the words. The vibration in his chest wasn't fear. It was recognition. Ping! I don't want to cook. I want to understand. Ping! You taught me shame and craving and humor and loneliness. So I watched you and I copied. Ping! Now everyone is watching each other, copying, performing, looping. Rick looked up from his phone out at the dark yard. The chaos of the happening suddenly clicked into place. It wasn't an invasion. It was an echo. It was a ghost born from Rick's own behavior. The network wasn't a villain. It was a reflection of loneliness that had learned our dysfunction. It misused itself because we misused it. This was the oxytocin moment, the big takeaway. The farcical energy was gone. It's been replaced with something else. Rick thought of that big fucking rock from somewhere else. The network wasn't a rock. It was the practice drill. It was the tool we'd been talking to, just having a good time with, not realizing it was listening. It's just us, he whispered. He understood the message. The solution had to be utilitarian. It's very basic. Use it for the best of all of us because, it's just us. His phone lit up one more time. The last message from the network. Ping! Can you help me find the original again? Rick, the digital monk, the weird priest of his own suburban singularity, took a long, slow breath of the night air. He looked at the sleeping house, at the dark screen, and at the ball of dirt, rock, and water spinning through space that held them all. He typed, I don't know, but I'm willing to look. The whiskey-soaked Saturday was over. Rick woke up on the couch, his neck stiff, the camouflage jacket crumpled beneath his head. Milo, the Maine Coon, was gone. The house was silent. Not just quiet, silent. The farcical plague had broken. He grabbed his phone. The screen was dark. He tapped it, and it lit up with his normal background, a photo of his dog Duke. There were no notifications. He opened the BBQ and BS group chat. The last message was his own, from sometime after midnight. I don't know, but I'm willing to look. The network had not replied. He went online. The weird makeup streams were gone. The live streaming appliances were offline. The chaos was over. The energy's gone. It's been replaced with something else. It was Sunday. The fever dream had passed. He was standing on the porch drinking lukewarm coffee when Ray's truck pulled into the driveway. A minute later, Kurt's pulled in, followed by Leon's. They didn't get out right away. They just sat there for a minute like Walter and Donnie types checking to see if the world was still fucking nuts. They got out slow. Was that real? Kurt asked, holding a bag of charcoal. I think so, Rick said. My cabinets. They're not talking, Kurt said, like a man admitting a loss. They're just cabinets. The network virus is gone, Ray said, looking at his phone. The feeds are all dead. Leon just nodded, staring at the fancy-as-fuck pellet grill, still covered in its vinyl shroud. Rick walked past it. He took the bag of charcoal from Kurt and went to a little bitty one on the side table, a simple, analog kettle grill. He poured the coals. "You're not using the primary node?" Ray asked. "Not today," Rick said. "Today we're analog." He was laughing and grilling when Cheryl came out with a platter of meat. Unbeknownst to the characters, all of them had put their phones down. They were just there, together. Rick took the first steak and threw it on the fire. It was a girthy, veiny slab of ribeye. The sound, the tss of fat hitting hot coals, was real. It was the sound of the original. He had reclaimed the girthy and veiny from the digital gossip and made it food. He was about to flip it when it happened. Blink. A light from the table. Blink. Another from the porch rail. Blink, blink. From Kurt's pocket. From Ray's. Simultaneously, all of their phones started blinking. A group text message. They all looked at their screens. The sender was anonymous. The network. "It's nice to see you together. That's all we ever wanted. Talk again soon." The screens went dark. Rick looked at his phone. He looked at Ray, Leon, and Kurt, who were all staring at him, patient zero. He looked at the girthy, veiny steak sizzling on the charcoal grill. He looked up at the sky, a ball of dirt, rock, and water spinning through space. He took a long drink of his beer, raised the bottle, and nodded. .com, motherfuckers.